In this video, I'll show you 3 ways you can build your own code editor, which is useful if you're displaying code on your website and are looking for an out-of-the-box solution that's accessible and feature-rich. Hey guys, and welcome to Azul Coding. To get started, I've set up some basic HTML and CSS, which we'll use with our free code editors today. All the code is available from the link in the description down below. I'll be using simple script tags to import the code editors, but if you're using a bundler, I'd recommend installing the packages using something like npm. Let's kick things off with our first code editor called CodeInput. We could simply use a text area to give ourselves a multi-line text field, but the problem is this text area element only accepts plain text, so we can't do any of the syntax highlighting that you might expect from a code editor. We could use simple HTML text in a code element and set the content editable property, but this doesn't work well with syntax highlighting plugins that would have to refresh every time the text is updated. The solution that CodeInput employs is to use both methods, overlaying the text area with that code element, and using any syntax highlighting plugin you like. We can set it up by creating a CodeInput element with a template ID and programming language, along with a text area element inside. I've set the value of that text area to a simple console log for now. You can use any syntax highlighting algorithm to colour in the code, but I'm going to be using Highlight.js today. We can add the base script file for Highlight.js along with the one for the JavaScript language. If you're displaying a different language, head over to the documentation to get the right file name. And then we also need to include the styles. I'll be using the Tomorrow Night Blue theme here, but again feel free to use a different theme if you prefer. We'll then need to add the script and styles for the CodeInput plugin, calling the register template function with our template ID and Highlight.js global variable. As you can see in the browser, the code gets displayed correctly, and I can edit it as you'd expect. We can extend this by adding in some more plugins like the ones listed in the documentation here. For example, I've added in the indent and auto close brackets plugins here by including the script file and adding them to the plugin array. Now I can use the tab key to indent lines, and it'll auto close brackets like this. If you want to retrieve the value of the code in the editor, you can simply select the text area element and get the value from there. Let's explore an alternative code editor next, CodeMirror. I've added in a simple div element that will serve as a container for the code editor. I've then added a script up here that will import the necessary features from the CodeMirror package, including the JavaScript language extension and the OneDark theme. Feel free to omit the theme if you're happy with its default appearance. I'm calling editor view here, passing in the container element I mentioned earlier, along with the code to display in the editor and the plugins. This basic setup plugin includes the basic features you might expect from a code editor. The full list is explained in the documentation. But let's see it in action. It works in a similar way to CodeInput. I can also open the Find and Replace menu by doing Ctrl F. If you want to retrieve the current value of the code editor, you'll need to call state.doc.toString like so. And let's finish off with a code editor that VS Code is built on, called Monaco. Again, all we need is a simple div element in HTML, and then we can include the loader script, along with some require config to correctly map the dependencies referenced in the module. We can set up the editor by calling create and passing in the container element along with some other options. The value property defines the code to display in the editor by default. The language is set to JavaScript here. The automatic layout property makes the code editor responsive when set to true, and I've set the theme to VS Dark. The full list of many options is available in the documentation. As you can see, the editor looks a lot like VS Code. We can use Find and Replace with the Ctrl F shortcut, and there's a right-click menu that includes features like go to definition, etc. We can open up the command palette as well to access the full range of features. Lastly, we can get the value of the code editor by simply calling getValue on the editor instance. If you've got a spare moment, take a look at the suite of desktop and Android apps that are made that are all open source, and check out Ablas to brush up on your language skills for free. The link to these projects is in the description down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to keep up to date with the latest from Azul Coding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.